The new 2026 Logos libraries are out, and I want to take a look at them with you, give you my thoughts and recommendations for what might be best for you given your role, whether you are a pastor, a seminary student, a vocational minister, or you're just someone looking to go deeper into God's word. And there is a lot going on here, so I'm excited to dive into it with you. I have a lot of thoughts, feelings. I'll forewarn you, this could be a bit of a long video. I will do my best to try to be succinct, but I think that there's a lot here. And just know that I just care deeply about you getting the best value for your money in these packages and want you to buy something that is hopefully going to be a blessing to you and your ministry. If we haven't met, my name is Nick Stapleton. I'm a college minister here in Colorado and have been a Logos user for 15 plus years. It's just been a huge resource and blessing to me in my seminary studies as I did my MDiv, and it just continues to be something I leverage in my own ministry and just personal growth every day. And love seeing people get into Logos as I think it has a lot of value to offer you. So let's dive in to the Logos libraries. Let me first just start by giving a little bit of context about what's going on with these libraries, why Logos libraries, all of that. So here on Logos's landing page, they're pointing out they're doing a 20% off deal through February 15th, depending on when you're watching this. That might still be running, or if it's not, just know Logos does these kinds of sales on their libraries frequently. So hopefully you'll be able to catch a sale if you missed this one. But what's going on? They have updated their standard libraries. We're going to take a look at some of those. And then their vocational libraries have been updated as well. I'm going to be focusing my attention largely on the preacher and researcher ones, but we'll talk about the standard ones too. Here's what's, this is significant to point out. You don't need a subscription to get these new libraries. That's a change from their previous 2025 libraries. So now you can get them without a subscription. However, as they're pointing out here, and I agree, they're going to be better with the subscription. And I'll share a bit more about why. In short, the subscription is offering you features. So if you've never gotten into Logos before, if you want to be able to write sermons and all sorts of things like that, or use Factbook or all the kinds of features that Logos really has to offer, you're going to want a subscription. But anyway, that's for another day. What's the deal with the libraries though? Here's the big kicker with the libraries is that on average, they save you 90% compared to buying individual books. That is true. And you'll kind of see that. I'll kind of point some things out along the way as we look at these different packages. But here's the gist of the Logos libraries. I'm going to pull you over to one of my blog posts really quickly where I just wrote briefly about this. But when I think about Logos libraries, I think about this mantra that's in Top Gun Maverick. Fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, you got to go see it. But what they say in Top Gun Maverick, it's not the plane, it's the pilot. And when it comes to Logos, it's not Logos, it's the resources. Like your Logos experience will only be as good as the resources that you have inside of it. And so that's an important thing to know. I long ago, when I first got into Logos, I bought the cheapest library possible and found myself perpetually frustrated. And it wasn't a surprise why. It's because the resources that I wanted to leverage, some of the top commentaries or dictionaries or lexicons, they just weren't in my package. And so I couldn't do what I wanted to do with my package. So it's important for you to know, what is it that you want to be able to do with your Logos library, and what resources do you need to get in there to do that? Now, hopefully you have a sense of what resources you might need. If not, I'll try to make some recommendations or point out some of the ones that I'm leaning on or prioritize. You'll see that as I'm reviewing these libraries, what I care about. But let's go ahead and take a look at these new libraries. So what you're looking at here, these are the new standard libraries right here. And one of the things that I think is interesting is just the pricing. The pricing for each of these levels is the same across the different role packages. So like, for example, Logos Gold Standard is $679 right now with that 20% discount. And then if we go over here to the Preacher packages, it's $679. And then if we go over Preacher right here to the Researcher, it is also $679. So each of those are the same price. However, notice this though, in Researcher, 365 books in the gold. For Preacher, 569 books. And then Standard Gold, 569. So a different book quantities across each one, and that'll differ on each level. But anyway, all that to say, standard pricing across, it seems, they've kept that pricing consistent across each level, but you're getting different obviously resources in each package. So here's what it all really boils down to, that at least in my take, when it comes to these different packages, it really does kind of all boil down to the commentary. So look at this. We're looking at the standard libraries here, and you'll notice commentaries are where the big jumps are across them. And then even as you come down to these different categories, you'll notice none of them are quite as deep, except for the journals in each of these categories. You got some church father resources that you're picking up as you go further, pastoral care and counseling. But again, it's like it really does kind of all come down to the commentaries. And that's true across all these packages. So here's Preacher, right? We're in the Preacher ones. It's coming down to commentaries. And so I'll scroll down further. You're going to pick up some journals and magazines in Preacher Gold. However, it's Themelios, which is awesome. I really love Themelios. I'm going to show you a hack about getting Themelios, though, for free. You can actually get it for free without having to pay for it. Anyway, so I don't know. I just point that out. Let me pull over to Researcher just to show you here too, right? Commentaries. This is where the bulk of the resources are. Of course, with the Researcher, you're going to pick up texts, some journals. But again, it really does all come down, at least in my mind, largely to the commentaries, some New Testament, Old Testament study stuff in the Researcher packages. So again, you need to figure out, what resources do I want to get in my Logos package? Now, the other thing I need to note is that when it comes to Logos, you never pay for your resources twice, meaning once you've bought them, you never buy them a second time. So if a resource you already own is in your Logos library and it's being included in Logos Gold, for example, they will offer you dynamic pricing, meaning they will prorate the cost of that library so that you're not buying that resource again. So important to know. Okay, let's take a look at the standard gold package here. I think I have it pulled up. So here's the standard gold package. This is kind of traditionally Logos's, when it comes to their gold package, it's kind of like, this is, if you're in ministry or if you're in seminary, gold is kind of where they would encourage you to start. And I think for good reason. So here's what's going on, what resources they're highlighting in the standard gold package. The New Cambridge Bible Commentary. I'm not super familiar with this commentary series. I do like the Ancient Christian Doctrine series. I think that's great. The Christ-centered exposition commentaries are awesome. If you are someone who is preaching or teaching in a regular capacity, I think that you will really appreciate those commentaries. They're helpful, they're pastoral, and accessible. They're not technical commentaries. So, all right. Let's take a look at what comes in some of these kind of bigger categories. This is something I want to point out that I am not actually loving about these new Logos packages. Because look at the English Bible. I actually kind of initially wasn't paying attention to the English Bibles that come in these packages because I've just thought it was pretty standard. However, when I think about translations I would consider must have in my library, I'm thinking about translations like the ESV, the NIV, the NASB, the maybe New King James Version. I'm probably forgetting some, but the CSB, like Christian Standard Bible, anyway, these are the ones that are front of mind for me. But look at what comes in these packages. It's the easy to read version, God's Word translation, the ISV, the LSB, I do like, the NIV UK, the NRSV. Anyway, the ESV is missing, the NIV is missing, the CSB is missing. You get the message. So I don't love that. When I think about essential English Bible translations, some of these are good to have, but I'm a little frustrated that these other translations that I consider significant aren't there. Now, here's what I think is going on. A lot of the ones that I named are actually part of the Logos subscription. Let me actually look over at that. I think I got it pulled up here, right here. So it's comparing the different Logos subscriptions, Premium, Pro, Max. Let me see. Included books, because you get some included books with your subscription. Here's where they are. So the CSB is in there, the ESV, the Lexham English Bible. The other translation that I wish was included is the Net Bible, and certainly the Net Bible Notes. But anyway, I just thought I would mention that because that honestly surprised me, because years ago with Logos packages, like Logos 10 or 9 or 8, you were getting those translations standard in these packages. And I'm a little surprised that that's omitted. And I wish it wasn't the case. Logos, bring the standard, the most popular, the most, frequently used English Bibles, bring those back into the libraries. Those belong. And I don't love that they're only, tied. I mean, of course, you can buy these translations. You can buy them and add them to your library for $5.99. I would imagine similar. Yeah, $5.99 for the ESV. So you can buy it. I probably would, but I'm a little disappointed that these aren't standard with these packages. Okay. Enough of a rant on the Bibles, but that's significant. I mean, this is what we're doing, right? With Logos, we're trying to study God's Word. I want these in the package. Okay. Now look at this. As we mentioned, these packages, at least in my feelings, you are choosing these packages largely based on the biblical commentaries that are included with them. So here's where you're seeing that 90% savings. Because look, they have totaled up. If you were to buy each of these resources, if you were to buy them individually, a la carte, this is what they total up to. And so look at all these resources, all what they total up to, $9,426. That's how much, if you bought each of these outside, not part of the library, that's how much you would spend. And you get those resources instead for $679 if you're catching it at 20% off. So this is why, by all means possible, any resource that you are wanting in your toolbox, you want to try to find it as part of a Logos library. So let me give you real briefly an example of this. So one of my favorite resources is the Pillar New Testament Commentary series. So this series, $550 if you were just to buy it a la carte. These are some of the best New Testament commentaries. They are pastoral. They're also a bit more academic in nature. They are thorough. They're going to be accessible. You don't have to have language proficiency to use them, but they are not just basic commentaries. These are written by some of the best theologians and exegetes around. So here's what you can do. When you have resources that you care deeply about, one of the best things you can do is go on the Logos website, find it, and then it will show you where that title is included in a collection, in a library. So look, $550, or you could get it in Preacher Gold, which is why Preacher Gold, I think, is actually one of the best packages you could buy, is because you get this commentary series as part of that. All right. I'm all over the place. I apologize. I didn't have a clear roadmap, y'all, when it came to talking about these packages. All right. So standard, though. Oh my gosh. Standard Gold. Where are we? Here we are. All right. So we talked about Christ-centered exposition. That's in there. Let's look at the other commentaries that are in this series. The ESV expository commentaries. These are fantastic. These are super helpful. A good basic orientation to the text that you are in. I also really do love God's Word for You. These studies, Tim Keller has some great entries in this series. However, actually worth noting, you're only actually getting part of this series. You're actually not getting the full thing. So I'm less excited about, about that, actually. Let's see what else is here. The Bible Knowledge commentary is also a really popular commentary. Okay. So that's largely it. So Logos Gold Standard is going to give you kind of a whole swath of resources across these different categories. It is I think this is probably the best budget pick library that's available. Like if you're just going for, I just want to get coverage in every, all of these different areas, just basic coverage. This is probably the best budget library. But if I'm a pastor, what package am I going for personally? Let's swing over here to the preacher libraries. If I am a preaching pastor, I think Preacher Gold is probably your best bet. If you're looking for affordability and great commentaries, because of what I just touched on before, Preacher Gold is going to be my entry-level pastoral recommendation, because you're not only getting the Christ-centered exposition series, you're also getting the ESV expository, just like Standard Gold. But the other one that we already looked at that you're also going to pick up, and this is the kicker for me, is Pillar. You are getting the Pillar New Testament commentary series, and that is what pushes me over the edge. You're also picking up the Tyndale commentaries, at least some of them. It would look like, maybe a lot of them. Yeah, in the Preacher Gold. So, and I really like those Tyndale ones as well. Okay. That's what sticks out. However, what about the seminary student? What are we doing? Or if you have a bigger budget. So let me hit pause on seminary. I'll come back to seminary. What about if you have a bigger budget? Because what's the next best? In my opinion, I think if I am a pastor, or I have a bigger budget, if I can spend more than $680, I think where you really begin to feel the benefit of these packages beyond gold is really at the diamond level. And I think I have a couple windows open. Here's why. Okay. So the standard diamond library, I love a lot, because here's where at the standard level, you are picking up the Pillar commentaries, which are huge. And then you're picking up the IVP, really well-known, renowned Black Bible dictionaries and you're getting all 8 of those. And so let's take a look here. Let me collapse this. So look at the commentary value there. $18,000 worth of biblical commentaries, and you are landing those for $2,400. So, and I was going to look back at the standard page. So you're picking up for $2,400. You are almost gaining 2,400 books. So, I mean, imagine that, like $1 per book, or just a little bit more than $1 per book. And that's why the Logos libraries are a pretty incredible value. All right. Standard Diamond. What are we getting here that sticks out, at least for me? You are getting the exposition commentaries, the ESV expository. Again, are you getting more of God's word for you? Nope. You're only getting a few of them. You're getting the ICC series, which are also really great. Yeah, that's a big value add in the Diamond level. The geographic commentaries, Lexham's resources are fantastic, by the way. I love that you're getting at least a couple of those, it seems. Pillar, as we mentioned, you're also getting some of the heritage commentaries, so some of the older ones that they have newer editions. Preaching the Word, that's actually a really great ad in the Logos Standard Diamond. These are expository commentaries, pastoral commentaries, published by Crossway, I believe. Really fantastic. Helps in terms of teaching and preaching. Okay. Tyndale, as we mentioned. And then the Wiley Blackwell, some people really love these. These are more, I mean, I consider them more academic in nature, but I'll be honest, I have not used them a ton, but I think that they are largely about text reception. Let's just take a look really quick. Devoted to the reception history of the Bible. Yeah. Okay. But again, a huge value. So, I mean, this is where it's like, when you're leveraging Logos, having resources like this in there, when you're using features like Study Assistant, when you're using the fact book, when you're just doing searches through Logos, it is awesome to have these resources being called upon as the tech is trying to leverage your library to surface information for you. Okay, so that's the Standard Diamond one. If you are a pastor, preacher, I think another one really worth considering is the Preacher Diamond package. And here's what sticks out to me about this one. Preacher Diamond, here we are. Okay. So again, $2,400, just like the Standard Diamond. You are picking up the UBS Handbook series. Some of these I don't care a whole lot about. I actually think this is maybe I need someone to educate me a little bit on some of the value of the UBS Handbook resources. The Dictionary of Classical Hebrew is a helpful resource, but to me, so in terms of commentaries, here's what you're gaining with the Preacher library at the Diamond level. So you're picking up the Apollos Old Testament commentaries, which are great. Okay. This is not a series I'm personally super familiar with. Oh, Calvin's commentaries. I like that. If you like John Calvin like I do, you'll appreciate having those. Pillar, of course, because that was in the gold. You're also getting the Preaching the Word commentaries that were in the Standard. You're getting those here as well. The one thing I know to be distinct, though, between the Preacher Diamond and Standard Diamond is in Preacher Diamond, you are getting the new studies in biblical theology, the NSBT series. Let me see where that's at. It's probably staring me right in the face. I can't see it. Here we go. Biblical theology. You're getting that entire 53 volume series. These are fantastic resources, and that's valued at, $850 right there. So about a third of the value, what you're paying for the whole library, third of that cost, and you're getting those all there. You're getting that series in the Preacher Diamond. In the Standard Diamond, what you were getting that you're not getting here are the IVP Bible dictionaries. So go up to Bible dictionaries here. Yeah. And so those aren't there. You are getting the Holman Illustrated Bible Dictionary, which is a great resource. You're getting the ISB E. But yeah, you're missing out on the IVP Bible dictionaries, which I wish there was a package where you were getting the NSBT and the IVP dictionaries in both, along with all the commentaries. But that's a big deal. So depending on the person, what you value, those are some of the things that stand out to me. But I do think the diamond level, if you can afford it, it is a great investment. Okay. Let me see just English Bible. Are you getting? So, okay, this is also significant. At the diamond level, you're picking up translations of the Bible that we're familiar with, the NIV. You're getting the Net Bible, which is great, but you're still missing and you're getting the NASB as well. That's good. But you're still missing, and the New King James is in there. Good. LSB. For me, at least, what feels loudly absent is the ESV and the Christian Standard Bible. So, but again, those are lumped in with a subscription. I'm guessing that's part of why perhaps Logos is doing it that way, is because it's lumped in there. But spend the $5.99 and pick up those translations if you get one of these libraries and you don't already have them in your library. Okay. Speaking of which, all right. So those Bible translations, I wanted to kind of turn the corner. So those are my thoughts. I don't know. I don't know how helpful that felt. There's a part of me that feels like some of these packages were, I don't know, easier to recommend for people before, because look at this. Like, I realize I'm just now remembering we haven't talked about Seminary. Which package would I recommend? Like, when we go back, this is my blog post from 2025. I need to update it for 2026. And this video is helping me kind of formulate my own thoughts as we're now 28 minutes in. If you're still here, leave a comment if you're still here at 28 minutes. I need to update this, but let me show you what we were working with before when it comes to recommendations. So before, my overall, what I meant by overall was kind of budget pick, was the Logos Gold Standard. I still think that that's still probably the best budget pick, right alongside Preacher Gold. You'll have to decide maybe which for you is the better value. You were getting some different resources. The diamond level, again, man, I'm missing this. Like, back in 2025 at the diamond level, you were getting the exegetical guide to the Greek New Testament. If you are someone who has any proficiency with Greek, then perhaps that this is just a really helpful series for helping you understand the text. Oh, this one hurts too. The other series that was in the diamond was the NIC NT and NICOT, and I love that series. And I don't believe that was in any of the ones that we talked about. So, all right, now 29, 30 minutes in just to get to seminary recommendation. So previously, Researcher Gold was my pick for your seminary students. Like this, apparently the package was somewhere in the neighborhood of $600. And what made this a great package was you were getting NA28, you were getting BHS, you were getting BDAG. Like these are all essential original language resources as a seminary student if you're doing your MDiv. But you were also getting Pillar, you were getting Apollos, you were getting the ICC, the DCH, Dictionary of Classical Hebrew, and then like I mentioned, the standard Greek and Hebrew text that you need for seminary. Now, let's look at the Researcher Gold. I don't know if I still have it open. Sorry, I have so many tabs open here. Okay. All right, let's go over here and talk about Researcher Gold. All right, here's Researcher Gold. In terms of biblical commentaries, Researcher Gold, you're getting a lot more scholarly commentaries here. So Fortress Commentary on the Bible, the UBS series, the ICC, Apollos, not at the gold level. So it really stops at the UBS series. But no Pillar was part of that, as it was in the past. And then, you know what? Maybe the better way. Let me do this. Let me just open up a new tab and go see the Researcher Gold. All right. That's Preacher Gold, Researcher Gold. All right. So what are they highlighting? They're highlighting the Illuminations commentary. I have no idea what that commentary series is about or who is part of it, and I'll spare you from watching me dig through it. ICC I am familiar with, and obviously, yeah, regular value for that whole series, $2,100. So you're scoring something really great there. But let's collapse this. In terms of the text, you are at the gold level. You're getting NA28, which is great. And then Hebrew, you're getting BHS with the critical apparatus. You need that. So that's great. Are you getting BDAG? No. You're getting TDNTA, the abridged version, but you're not getting BDAG anymore. So and I think, go back to the Researcher comparison here. So here's the deal with Researcher. I am struggling to personally, unless if these commentaries feel valuable to you, if you're in seminary and you're heading into the pastorate, I want you to have Pillar, and I want you to have some of the best commentaries the top tier commentaries for different books of the Bible. Most of those are going to be like Pillar commentaries, the NICNT and NICOT, some of the Word biblical commentaries, the Zondervan exegetical commentary series, things like that. More pastoral and technical, and the New International Greek New Testament, the NIGNT commentaries. Those are the ones I'm really wanting you to have in there. And you're not picking those up here. So I'm struggling to appreciate Researcher Gold personally. Maybe I'm misunderstanding who this is for. Maybe if you're just going into scholarly work, you're not planning to go to the seminary for the pastorate or maybe for ministry. maybe this is better for you. You can let me know what you think. I invite input here if you have different feelings. If I were going to get a researcher package, I'm going silver, because what you're getting in silver is you are, at the very least, you're getting the Greek and Hebrew text that you want. So you're getting, right? Yes, NA28 right there, and you're getting BHS, which to me, yeah. So when you talk about BHS, you're either paying $74 outright, and NA28 is probably going to be like $100. I'm on the wrong tab. NA28, yeah, $99. So $100 there. So you're spending $174 just for those original language texts, which if you're in seminary, you're going to need those. So you may as well pick up, spend a little bit more and pick up the rest of these commentaries and other resources that are thrown in. Again, because you always want to get the resources that you're going to need to buy. You don't ever want to just buy them on their own. You want to buy them as part of a library package. So let me turn some of the corner. I told you all this would be a long video, and I have lots of thoughts and feelings. They're not super concrete, but I'm just sorting through them. Here is something I was just going to point out, like this Logos 8 Starter Legacy Library. So this is an older library, but the resources are ones that you want. I was just going to point this out because this is a package where you can get a lot of those English Bible translations that I was mentioning, like the ESV and the NIV, the King James Version, the NASB. Anyway, and it's only $40 for picking up those English Bible versions. So all that to say, when you're thinking about like these translations that you may personally want, you go find them in a package that that interests you. That there might be a better, if you don't want the Logos 8 starter, there's a lot of other options that you could pick up. So worth looking into that. But here's some other resources for me that, again, I just really value. I love the NIV Biblical Theology Study Bible Notes. Zondervan, it seems, as best I can tell, you'll notice, look, what collection is that one part of? Their ultimate collection for Zondervan, and that's it. So a lot of Zondervan resources, you're apparently not going to find them in a Logos library package, which is a bummer, but that's a great resource. The New Bible Commentary is just a great, I always appreciate, I think of my commentaries in terms of kind of what's going to give me the 30,000 foot view, and then keep kind of drilling in. The New Bible Commentary, which is edited by D.A. Carson and others. This is a great resources. And look, that resource is actually part of that Logos 8 starter library. So you can get those English Bible translations that I would personally want, and you could pick up that resource. We've talked a lot about Pillar. It's obviously apparent I am a fan of Pillar. The NICOT and NICNT. We've talked a lot about that one. Where are you going to get this whole series? Well, here's where you're going to find it. Actually, I have a package myself that you could look into that I have put together with Logos, where you will get that series, and you'll get Pillar and some other commentaries that I really love. So, hey, listen, if the diamond packages are out of reach, $2,400, you could think about Dr. Craig Keener's package or mine, if that is of interest to you and helps you get where you want to go. I mentioned the IVP Bible dictionaries, 8 volumes. That's also one I always want in my library. Where else can you find that? Hey, you can find that in Wes Huff's package. You're going to probably find some other apologetic resources there with his package, but that's great. But here's where you can find, we talked about that being part of the Diamond Library, regrettably not part of the Preacher Diamond Library, but I love that resource. A few others. Oh yeah, the NDBT, the New Dictionary of Biblical Theology, another really wonderful resource that I can't imagine not having in my library. Where can you find that one? You can find that as cheap as $90 in the Logos Baptist Bronze Library, but of course you can drop down, scan through those. But I really love that resource. We talked about NA28. So I was, thinking about the researcher and seminary students, like, where can you find this? And the best I could come up with, there, it looks like there are some packages in different languages that have NA28 included with it. But I do think the best probably way of obtaining NA28, if you don't already have it, is the 2026 Researcher Silver Library, if you need that text. The EGGNT, again, I'm lamenting that this isn't part of Researcher Gold anymore, because I loved having this. I still love having this commentary series in my library, and I especially loved having it when I was going through my Greek exegesis courses, and I just found it really helpful. So you will find that in Researcher Diamond. So for what that's worth, if you're a seminary student and you want to bump up, but this is where my feelings are complicated, though, because let's take a peek at that one too. What's it matter? We're already 40 minutes deep, so we can dive in. But I just care so deeply that if you're going to spend $2,400 as a seminary student who's planning to go into the pastorate, we'll see if this page even loads here. I don't want you just to have pure scholarly commentaries as much as I love a good nerdy commentary. I want you to have one that are going to help you with sermon prep. And that's where these are very academic. All right, let's get to the commentaries. What are you getting? Yeah, you're getting Hermeneia, again, very scholarly works. Great. Helpful, perhaps in papers. But depending on the kind of person you are, I don't think in your sermon preparation, you're going to Hermeneia more often than not. Okay, you do get Pillar at the diamond level. I just liked it better when it was like I just feel better. Like, look at this from last year. I just think this is legit. This is an awesome package. And it makes me sad that you have to spend $2,400 to get these thrown in. So anyway, maybe I'll work with Logos to update my study bundle. Because before I was when I designed my study bundle, it was based on the 2025 Logos packages. But it makes me want to take another stab at my study bundle to optimize, because I'm really attuned, I think, personally, just given my own journey, I'm attuned to the seminary student who is heading into vocational ministry, and or at the very least, the pastor who wants to study God's word deeply at an exegetical level and dealing with languages. So anyway, if you think I'm missing something about these packages where maybe I'm either underappreciating some of them or undervaluing them, let me know. If you see things my way, I would love to hear that too, though, because I just feel that some of the best resources are getting kind of put pretty deep in terms of the Logos packages. Like, I wish they were more accessible, like the English Bible texts and these commentaries that I consider essential. And I wish that more of them were available at the gold level and not put so high up on the shelf in the diamond level. Especially because I think some of them were previously more accessible. Let me begin to wrap things up by just sharing that. Real briefly though, BDAG. Where's BDAG at? Where's that living? Let's make sure we're not missing where BDAG is at. So you get BDAG. You can get it part of the Hallett package. Hallett is almost never, at least I've seen it, never part of a library. So you can get it part of this bundle, which could be a great move. Where possible, I think it's really great to get BDAG as part of a package. It looks like Dr. Craig Keener's package is killing it. It's in my package as well, my study bundle, my library. But here are some of the other ones where you can pick it up. So anyway, I'll wrap things up just by pointing a few things out. One is Logos subscriptions. So there are 3 tiers. This is, I think, just important to know if you're getting into Logos, or if you've kind of been using Logos for a while but reluctant to dive in. There are 3 tiers, and I think these descriptions right here are actually really, really good descriptions. So premium is for small group leaders. Pro is for pastors and for sermon prep. And then Max is for language study and research. And so, Max is going to be great for your seminary student who's working with the languages. Pro is going to be great for your pastors and preachers who are doing counseling and sermon preparation. And Premium is going to unlock a lot of features for those of us who are just wanting to study God's word deeper, maybe the Sunday school teacher or the Bible study leader. That's going to be a great tier for you. Logos standard, they offer you a 30-day free trial. However, Logos has given my friends, and if you're watching this video, consider yourself one of my friends. For the friends of Nick Stapleton, you can actually get a 60-day trial if you head over to logos.com/Nick Stapleton, and that will bring you to this landing page, and you can get a 60-day free trial of Logos. So you can either just try Logos. You can also get the bundle tied in there if that's going to help you get where you're going. But I would love for you to at least be able to take advantage of the 60-day trial, because who doesn't love 60 days free of something? But I really do hope that it is a great opportunity for you to be able to kick the tires on the software. And as we talked about, these different subscriptions are going to lump books in for you, and then the subscription is going to unlock features for you as well. So there's lots to be learned there. Of course, you are welcome. On this post, I'll be updating it on my website. You can go to nickstapleton.me, and on my website, I have several Logos blog posts, but I talk a lot about Logos subscriptions and why I like them, the pricing, how you can navigate that. There's money to be saved if you will pay annually or even 2 years up front. You're getting several months for free beyond the trial. So it's worth considering. Leave comments though. Leave me a comment. Sorry, I apologize. If you've made this, you're amazing. You're a glutton for punishment, perhaps, if you've just listened to me ramble my way through these Logos packages. But I do hope on some level it was helpful, insightful. If you have questions and I can offer you any help, please leave me a question, leave me a comment, what was helpful, or if you have things that resources you've really valued. Like, I would love to hear, what are some of your essential resources in your Logos library that you can't imagine being without? I could probably make a separate video on some of my essential resources, devotionals, reference resources. Probably should. I have a post up on my website of some of my 50 favorite Logos resources that you could go find if you wish to go explore there. But appreciate you being here, joining me. Again, don't hesitate to reach out if I could be of any help to you. And I'll finish up. Finally, I feel like I've tried to finish up several times now, just by mentioning I have a Logos newsletter. You can go to the top of my website, or you can go to newsletter.nickstapleton.me. And I'll just point this out to you right here. You can sign up for my Logos newsletter, where I'll send you links to the free books that Logos is sharing that month. Also highlight some of the sales or key resources that they're making available. Because again, I want to get the best deal I can on building my Logos library, and getting the free books are a huge deal towards Logos gives away some really great resources. So if that newsletter interests you, you can go over to my website or visit newsletter.nickstapleton.com and you can get signed up. So, all right. That was a doozy. Look forward to seeing you in the next one.